You've probably noticed the Output window at the bottom of the Visual Studio screen. It appears when you build a project or run one in debug mode. In this lesson, you'll examine the Output window and understand the information that it provides. To begin, open the JOSBAR web application project from your Sample Files folder. And build the project. To do this, right-click JOSBAR web application in the Solution Explorer and click Build. The Output window appears at the bottom of the screen. If the Output window isn't visible, you probably need to reset Visual Studio's window layout. To do this, click Window, Reset Window Layout, and click Yes when prompted. If the Output window still doesn't appear when you build the project, you can manually display it by clicking Debug, Windows, Output. The Output window shows the messages that are generated by the compiler as it builds your project. The Output window should currently be displaying Build, 0 succeeded, 0 failed, 1 up to date, 0 skipped. If it doesn't, try building the project again. This text means that the compiler found one project in the solution and found that it had not changed since it was last built, so the compiler didn't bother rebuilding it. Next, you're going to take a look at the Output window while the project is running in debug mode. Start debugging by clicking Debug, Start Debugging. The site is displayed in your browser. Return to Visual Studio without closing the browser window and examine the Output window. You may need to click the Output tab at the bottom of the screen in order to display it. The virtual web server will be stopped if you close your web browser, so it's important that you keep it open. The Output window is showing an enormous number of messages. These messages were generated by the virtual web server. If you don't see any messages in the Output window, it's possible that you simply need to scroll up using the Windows scroll bar. If you still don't see any messages, you're seeing a bug in Visual Studio that sometimes prevents the virtual web server from displaying messages. Simply stop debugging and start debugging again, and the messages should then be displayed. These messages list all of the components that the virtual web server has loaded for your application to use. Click the drop-down menu at the top of the Output window and click Build. The project is automatically built whenever you start debugging. In build mode, the Output window will display any messages that were generated by the compiler when it built the project. Since the project has not changed since it was last built, Visual Studio will not recompile it. This means that the Output window is blank in build mode. You'll also notice the Build Order option. This option is only useful when your solution contains multiple projects. The Build Order option applies sorting so that it is easier to see which project each message pertains to. When there is only one project in the solution, Build Order is identical to Build. Close your web browser window now and return to Visual Studio. Now display the output window if it isn't visible already. Click the Show Output From drop-down menu and select Debug. Now scroll down to the last messages in the output window if they're not visible already. Here you can see the messages reporting that Internet Explorer and the virtual web server have been closed. Internet Explorer is iexplore.exe and the virtual web server is iisexpress.exe. You'll learn how to send your own messages to the output window using compiler directives and the system.diagnostics namespace in Lesson 6.8. Close Visual Studio now, and you've now completed Lesson 1.10. Understand the output window.